All right, we are live. 3 for 3. Um, this is my last one today. The trifecta of today of all these people being dangerously incorrect. It just landed on me. Okay, I don't run around being angry. I don't. I really don't. I actually have other things to do. Um, I get angry because people are stupid. All right, and they say stupid things that convince other people to do dumb things. And most of the time, if it's about the re-election of Donald Trump, or whether Joe Biden is right for the country, or this kind of shit, whether we're in a recession, or whether we're out of a recession, or whether interest rates will go up, or whether interest rates should go down, this kind of stuff I don't care about. I mean, I probably should, right? I used to. I used to care about this kind of stuff a lot, but I've just gotten to a point where I'm realizing that people are stupid. They're dumb. They're chimps. They don't think things through very clearly. I try to be as clear in my thinking as possible. I try to keep as much mental pollution out of my head as possible. And one of the ways I do that is simply to recognize when someone's being retarded. I don't have to listen to them when they're being retarded. This person's retarded. Why would they say something like that? Why would they try to prove that point? That's a dumb point to try to prove. What's your problem? Or did someone drop you on your head when you were little? Okay. So I got up this morning, was confronted with 3 people that I should have respect for, and which I don't, because they're retarded. And I've already did my video on Elliot Jacobson being retarded, and I've done my video on Paul Beckwith being retarded. I don't have any animosity towards these men, but when they talk, they sound retarded, and they say retarded, stupid, ignorant things. So I have to respond to that because we're in an emergency, folks. We're in a climate emergency where global heating is running rampant. We're doing all we can to do absolutely nothing at all about it, and it's stupid. It's lethal, and it's wrong. It is just dangerously incorrect what we are doing. And these men have been proposing more of the same, being dangerously incorrect. So, as regards to Elliot Jacobson, I told him to, shut up or talk about something else. Talk about this differently. Stop doing this math that you're doing. Your math is dangerously incorrect. And with Paul Beckwith, I said, no, it's not a 3-legged stool. It's not a 3-legged anything. You're dumb. You're saying stupid shit, Paul. Stop doing it. You're dangerously wrong. You're incorrect. Your methodology is incorrect. This is not a matter of opinion. I'm a systems scientist. I know how to do systems work. There's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. And they're doing it wrong. And they're contributing to a problem. And they're making the situation worse by sweeping the complexity of our problem under the rug. And my next topic of my ire is Bill McKibben, Saint McKibben. Saint Bill McKibben, who has devoted, I just learned today, 35 years of his life to dealing with climate change. He founded 350.org, which is the organization whose goal, it's right there in the title, it's right there in the name, right? It is to keep the Earth at 350 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere, which is now fucking impossible. Maybe you should rename your organization 500.org. Start with that. So start with that. At least that's maybe, possibly, still in the future. Maybe we could do something today to avoid going over 500 parts per million, although I doubt it, because actually we're over 500 parts per million of CO2 and equivalents like methane. So, all right, 500 is out the window. How about 550.org? How about rename your 350.org to 550.org and fight for that? Can you do that for me, Bill? Can you do that for me? Because 350.org is in the rearview mirror, will be in the rearview mirror for probably 100 million years, and let's shoot for 550, shall we? So already 35 years of shooting for 350.org is already a red flag for me. Maybe you should just shut up about that. Maybe you should stop bragging about 35 years trying to make us stop our CO2 emissions at 350 parts per million.org. Okay, you just stop talking about that, and definitely do not brag about it. Now, of course, being Saint McKibben, you should brag about your religion, right? My religion is the true path. We have to be very careful about how much CO2 we emit, and we should probably do CO2 drawdown. And failing that, maybe we should do some solar radiation management. That's what Paul Beckwith recommends. He's now a policymaker, so let's just do what Paul Beckwith says. He was right there on the same podcast, Paul Beckwith and Bill McKibben. Let's talk about your three legs on your stool, Paul, and we'll just at 350.org we'll adopt those three policy measures and we'll implement policy and we'll do all this. And of course, we're already way past 350 parts per million. And we're headed for 550, so we should start a new org, right? Why don't you just do that, Paul? Yeah, both of you together, Paul and Bill, why don't you both together create 550.org and see how well that works out for you? Because that 350 gambit didn't go anywhere, right? Now, my beef with Bill McKibben, and it's been my beef, I can't listen to the guy. I can't listen to the guy. And it has to do with what I brought up in the last video where I castigated Paul Beckwith, flogged him to within an inch of his life, okay? It has to do with we have to get politics and economics out of the room. And Bill McKibben, every other word is politics and policy. Everything he proposes is politics and policy. Bill McKibben, Saint McKibben, it is dangerously incorrect. What you're doing is dangerous. You're going to kill us if you keep doing this. And I know you're a saint in 350.org and you did these things in 35 years ago and your whole life has been committed and you're a fool. You've been chasing your own tail. Now, I think I know why you're chasing your own tail. The message of policy being the solution, the message of electing the proper politicians, voting correctly being the solution, the message of organizing yourself around 350.org and sending your dues. This is business for you, Bill McKibben. I've seen you operate. This is a business for you. You're right. You're flogging this donkey. You're going to ride this donkey right over the Seneca Cliff along with the rest of us. Except you'll be a little richer and you'll be able to afford the solar panels and you'll be able to afford your private island in the South Pacific. Hopefully it doesn't go underwater with sea level rise, but you'll be able to afford your mansion in New Zealand and you'll escape all this. Because you're advocating for policy and advocating that people vote is demonstrably, dangerously incorrect. Because the thing that people need to do, Bill, is not elect a different bunch of politicians, not advocate for a different type of policy, not bring different types of economic philosophy to the front. Our challenge is not to create more jobs, not to create green jobs. Our challenge is not to float all the boats, to be fair, equitable. None of these things are our challenges. You can aspire to those things, that's fine. And that's why you're Saint Bill McKibben. Because you advocate for all the beautiful, wonderful rainbow things. But that is not our challenge. None of those things are our challenge. We have one challenge, Bill. We got one challenge. And it's not to promote your business empire, talking about 350.org and how we have to be at 350 parts per million. That's the only safe level. Not when we're going to 550. We have one challenge to keep us from going to 550 and 650 and 750 after that. We've got one challenge. One, exactly one. You know what it is? Bill McKibben, can you tell me what it is? I bet you've never even thought about it. I bet it's never crossed your mind because it's not part of your business empire. It's not part of your 35-year commitment for policy and voting and politicians and economics. What we have to do, Bill, let me remind you, maybe you had this thought 35 years ago. You haven't had it recently. Let me remind you what we have to do. It's very simple, Bill. Very simple. We must stop burning fossil fuels. Leave it in the ground. That's what we have to do. And that's not even policy. Let me point out, that is not policy. That's leaving it in the ground. That's a thing you do. It's a thing. And it's not even innovation. And it's not even treaties or anything else. There's no agreements between nations. Everybody must leave it in the ground. No treaty required. If you're Saudi Arabia, you go out in the oil fields and you walk up to the pumps that are running on electricity and you grab the big switch and you just bring it down. Clunk, clunk, it's off. And then you get in your sand buggy and you drive out over to the next one. You walk up to the control panel, you open it, grab the switch, clunk, that one's off. No policy required. You just fucking do it. You just get in your sand buggy and you go pump to pump to pump and you turn them off. That's how you do it. Now, why would the Saudis do that? The Saudis would do that because they're scared out of their mind. They do a crazy, insane thing because they've lost their mind with fear. Because they're all going to die. No policy required. They're trying to not die. And what are they going to do? Then they're going to go to the other oil producing nations, the other natural gas producing nations, and they're going to go there either they're going to go there either on bent knee, praying to Allah that you will listen to the wisdom of the Saudis, or two, they will go there with weapons, conquer your country, and once they have complete control of your gas fields and your oil fields, then they get in their sand buggy and they go well to well and they turn them off. So how will you get the Chinese to turn off their oil wells? They don't have any. Next question. Well, how do you get the Russians to turn off their oil wells? Well, maybe you don't have to. See, if we do enough of this, then the global economy collapses. And when the global economy collapses, then no one's consuming fossil fuels. They're not flying, they're not driving, they're not ordering goods. They're probably scrounging around in dumpsters trying to find food. Oh, yes, but Cougar, that would be really bad. How can you possibly advocate for something like this? The Saudis and the Qataris and the Russians and the U.S. and the Canadians and the Venezuelans that just turn off their fossil fuels. How could you advocate for something like that? It's going to be suffering. Well, think of the children. Think of the inequity. Think of the loss of global opportunities and taking global civilization away from people. What about all these people that have aspirations to better themselves and biggering and fastering and growing and economic growth and jobs and all these other kinds of things, plus jobs and economic growth? And don't let me forget to mention jobs. How can you possibly advocate we just turn off the fossil fuels because we're going to lose all these things? Oh, that's right. That you will. Oh, I know. I'm quite aware of that. It doesn't matter. That argument that we'll lose our economy and we'll lose our jobs and we'll lose our policies and our politicians won't have anyone to control and they won't be making money off of bribes and all this, that is completely not germane. We're in a global emergency. We are in an existential crisis. We might go extinct. So we have to stop. That's it. Once you've dug yourself deep enough into a hole, you stop digging. You save yourself by climbing out. You just stop digging and you climb out and say, well, that was fun. And we got penicillin, we got the internet, we got cell phones, and we got all these other technologies, and we have satellites in space and all this kind of cool stuff. And we'd like to keep those, and maybe we can keep some of that. And we'll have to do some triage to find out what we can't keep. And maybe we burn a little bit of fossil fuels here and there, just keep the machines turning over locally, so that people can, I don't know what they're going to do, pump water, right? Maybe have electricity to pump water. Have fossil fuels to make solar panels, right? Wind farms, maybe just have a tiny, tiny little trickle of fossil fuels to keep some industries rolling over, but not the transportation industry, not the driving to Disneyland industry. You'd have to close Disneyland completely. Just shutter it, blow it up, demolish it. Yeah, Disneyland, that was a bad idea. I mean, it was okay in the 50s, but since then it's been a bad idea. Just blow it up. Disney can do something else. I don't know what they're going to do. It doesn't matter. They're a corporation. Who gives a shit? Yes, but St. McKibben, we have one challenge before us. Leave fossil fuels in the ground. Now, you might say we have two challenges, and I will allow for this. We have two challenges. The first is we have to leave fossil fuels in the ground, but the second emerges from the first in that order. Okay, so we leave fossil fuels in the ground. Then we need to try and save as many people as possible. That's nice. That's a nice thing. That's a good idea. Why don't we do that, St. McKibben? Why don't we leave the fossil fuels in the ground and save as many people as we can? Maybe that's the tagline of your next.org. Okay, let's call it 550.org. And the whole purpose of 550.org, 350.org, that was bullshit. Okay, 550.org is the real deal now because of course we're at 425 parts per million, so we're headed for 550. Before we get to 550, we are going to figure out two things. This is our tagline for 550.org. I'm creating a business opportunity for you, Bill. Okay, you should get on board with this. You have my permission. I don't need a cut or anything. Just roll with it, all right? Because I ain't got time for this shit. You do, apparently. So go 550.org, and the whole purpose of 550.org is two things. We're going to leave fossil fuels in the ground. We're going to find a way to get the Saudis and the Russians and the Venezuelans and the Canadians and everybody else to leave their fossil fuels in the ground. That's the one thing we're going to do. We're going to do this by scaring the fuck out of people. Okay, that's our mission. Scare the fuck out of everybody. And then when they're so scared that they lost their fucking mind, they leave the fossil fuels in the ground. And anybody who gets in the way of them leaving the fossil fuels in the ground is in big trouble. If you're a CEO of an oil company, yeah, you better go hide because we're coming for you because you're not leaving the fossil fuels in the ground. If you're the president of a country and all you ever talk about is jobs and economic growth, and you're not going to leave the fossil fuels in the ground, well, you better go hide because we're coming for you. We're going to storm the Capitol. We're going to kick you out of there. We're going to put somebody in there who talks about leaving fossil fuels in the ground because that's the one thing we got to do. So, Bill, why don't you work on that? 550.org. First thing we're going to do is find a way to leave fossil fuels in the ground. We're going to turn them off. Leave it in the ground. Leave it in the ground. I mean, we don't do anything. We make no effort to remove it from the ground. We stop efforting. We just stop doing that. We stop doing that. It's a thing we're not going to do. We may do other things, and 550.org could focus on doing other things. And you can spend the next 35 years of your career, assuming you get longevity drugs, okay? You can spend the next 35 years of your career explaining to us how we're going to do 550, okay? Parts per million in the atmosphere. And then the second thing your 550.org is about, St. McKibben, is how to save as many people as possible. Well, in the absence of fossil fuels, okay? I could actually help you with that. That's a somewhat interesting project for me. I'm an engineer. I'm a scientist. I'm a systems scientist. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's have a cup of coffee. We'll sit down with a notepad and we'll just sketch out some things. And then you spend the next 30 years trying to implement them. Good luck. But anyway, we're going to stop burning fossil fuels, and then we're going to try to save as many people as we possibly can. I think those are worthy goals. And then we don't have to worry about Paul Beckwith and his stupid 3-legged bar stool, whatever it was. We don't have to deal with that policy crap. No, we're just going to leave fossil fuels in the ground, and we're going to save as many people as we can. Now, there may be some policy things in there, but hey, everyone has to get on board. I'm not going to tell the Saudis what to do. We don't have policy for the Saudi Arabians. They just have to understand that if they don't leave fossil fuels in the ground, they're going to fucking die. That's it. You're going to fucking die. You're just going to die. I don't care how much money you have. You're going to be dead. And we go to the Venezuelans. Okay, dude, if you don't leave fossil fuels in the ground, you're going to die. I know you want the money. I know you want the influence. I know you promised everybody a pony. It doesn't matter. Leave the fossil fuels in the ground or you're going to die. Or don't leave them in the ground and then you die because you didn't leave them in the ground. I mean, it works either way for me, except that if you don't leave them in the ground, then I die. And I'm not down with that, all right? So leave the fossil fuels in the ground, you stupid motherfucker. And you, motherfucker, you leave your fossil fuels in the ground. And then we can all be alive. How's that sound? Now, we're not going to like our life compared to the life we had before. But hey, life is a net gain. Being alive is a good thing. And then you can have other hobbies like agriculture and growing food and preserving food and taking care of family and building, habitat out of materials that you have around and living hyper local and not traveling and learning how to live together again. Those are nice things. Those are nice hobbies to have, right? You could learn how to make wooden wheels. You could learn how to make thread and cloth and how to make looms so you can have any of those things. And you can relearn animal husbandry. Animals love us. We love our animals. It's all love, right? You could do those things. Or you could dig up fossil fuels and destroy the planet and die. I don't recommend it. It sounds like a bad idea to me. Plus, if you're doing all that and you're dying, I'm dying too. It sucks. I don't want to hear that. So stop being an idiot and leave the fossil fuels in the ground. And Bill McKibben, St. McKibben, if you want to do the world a favor, give up on 350.org. Stop bragging about your completely failed career, 35 fucking years of just chasing your own fucking tail, and form a new .org, 550.org. I understand that's tacit admission of failure. Do it. You failed. You're failing right now. You're recommending policy. You want us to vote for politicians. Really? Seriously? You even said that we need the young people to become the CEOs of the future so that they can change the way we do fossil fuels. Do you seriously think? I don't even want to go there. Everybody who takes that position ends up being, I said I wasn't going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Everybody ends up being the thing that they hated. Why would you recommend that young people do that? Why don't you instead recommend that they learn how to live without fossil fuels? That should be your recommendation. And at 550.org, which you're going to found, St. McKibben, okay, you're going to found 550.org and you're going to tell the young people, okay, that other 350.org and all that policy shit and voting, yeah, forget that. That's bullshit. I have seen the light. I understand. I've been chasing my tail for 35 years and advocating the wrong approach altogether. Now I got rich advocating the wrong approach altogether. I realize that. But now I'm going to get rich too, advocating the correct approach. And now, young people, what you need to do is not vote for the right president, buy the right electric car, consume the right fair trade organic coffee. What you need to do, young people, is you need to get to the lifeboats. You are the future because you can breed, because you're not old and wrinkled and infertile and stupid. You're young. You can breed. You can keep us from going extinct. So what you need to do, boys and girls, is get to the lifeboats. And 550.org has page after page after page of what a lifeboat is in the context of global heating, what a lifeboat is in the context of not having fossil fuels. How do we build lifeboats? What do they look like? Well, hey, they look like villages. This is going to be fun. You know, it's going to be like Burning Man, except without the burning. So you're going to build villages and you're going to get to know your people and you're going to have skills and you're going to help each other. You're going to raise each other's children and you're going to have agriculture and animals and you're going to build a habitat for people. And you're going to survive all the heating somehow. And you're going to survive the termination shock. But the good news is we've stopped burning fossil fuels. No more fossil fuels. So the problem, hopefully, won't get worse. It might, probably it will. But hey, you're doing the thing you have to do. You are surviving. And our 550.org is going to focus on survival, getting you off this Titanic onto the lifeboats. And where we don't have lifeboats, we're going to teach you how to build fucking lifeboats. You're going to build a lifeboat. It's going to be called a village. You're going to have your lifeboats. You're going to have your solar panels, your wind farm, your whatever. You're going to have orchards. You're going to have animals, pasture. You're going to have local water delivery, local sewage treatment. We're going to help you figure all this out. 550.org. We are about the future, baby. We are about the young people. And I don't mean voting for politicians and voting for Joe Biden or whatever, buying a Tesla. No, that's not what we're doing. We're getting you on the lifeboats because you're young and you're our only chance. We got to get you floating away from this fucking disaster. That's what I want you to do, Bill McKibben. I want you to shut up about your business empire, and I want you to give up on 350.org. Give it to Donald Trump. He'd love it. For 550.org with a future mandate to not go fucking that direction, okay? We're not going to celebrate our past and our 35-year business career. We're going to look to the future, and we're not going there. That's the whole point of 550.org. We're not going there. We're going to do everything we can do to not go there. We're going to do things that mean that we don't go there, Bill. St. McKibben, shut the fuck up. You are dangerously incorrect. I need you to do something different. I need it. And we all need it now. Do something different. 550.org. And the whole point of the whole fucking thing is we are not going there. Can you do that for me, Bill McKibben? And stop finding work for the young people to do. Get them to the lifeboats, you stupid fuck. Get them to the lifeboats. Teach them how to survive. Leave fossil fuels in the ground and don't die. Is that okay? I think that's a great idea. Don't die. 550.org. You heard it here first. Run with it, Bill. You're a businessman. You got your empire. You got money. Plow it into 550.org where we don't die. I like that one. There's your tagline. 550.org. Don't die. That's it for me today. If you didn't like it, whatever. Go fuck yourself. I'm done with you people.